There are moments in a courtroom when the air feels sharp enough to cut. Moments when pride collides with truth so violently that the entire room holds its breath. Unsure of what will happen next, before we dive in, let us know in the comments where you are watching from. We would love to see how far this conversation is reaching. It begins quietly. A simple case on a Thursday afternoon. A judge who has spent a lifetime watching human beings rise, fall, and sometimes redeem themselves. A courtroom that has seen tears, mistakes, anger, remorse, and the strange dignity that comes with finally telling the truth. But no one in that room expects what is coming. No one expects to witness the unraveling of a title, a marriage, a reputation, and a shield that was never meant to protect the guilty. The doors open. A woman enters, dressed in a purple designer suit that catches the fluorescent light and turns it into a declaration. Gold jewelry glimmers. Sunglasses remain on even though the room is dim. Her posture sends a message long before she speaks. The message is simple: I do not belong here. She is Victoria Ashford, wife of British Ambassador Sir James Ashford. A woman used to formal dinners, diplomatic receptions, and the soft, invisible privilege of being treated as if consequences are optional. 6 days earlier, none of that protected her. 6 days earlier, she ran a stop sign in a black Range Rover and plowed into a parked Toyota Camry with such force that the car slammed into a fire hydrant and exploded into a spray of water. That car belonged to James Park, a 68-year-old Korean War veteran who was inside a medical supply store buying equipment for his wife, who was recovering from hip surgery. He did not know that the car he relied on to get her to physical therapy 3 times a week was already destroyed outside. Security footage later revealed everything. It showed Victoria stepping out of her Range Rover unsteady. She looked at the damage. She walked around. She inspected every angle of her own vehicle. She stood there for 45 long seconds. Then she got back in and drove away. No note, no call. No effort to check if anyone was injured, but what came after was even worse. Police officers located her at the ambassador's residence within 30 minutes. When an officer tried to conduct a field sobriety test, she refused. She stood in the doorway of diplomatic housing, eyes glazed, voice slurred, declaring that she had diplomatic immunity, declaring that the law did not apply to her, declaring that the officer had no authority, declaring that she would have him reported. Embassy legal counsel arrived, placed a barrier around her, and froze the investigation for 3 days. 3 days. 3 days before the United States Department of State reviewed the case, shook its head, and declared what should have been obvious: diplomatic immunity does not protect you from crimes like drunk driving, fleeing an accident, or obstructing an officer. And that is how she ended up here, walking into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom as though the room should bow to her. The bailiff calls her case. Judge Caprio lifts the file. He reads the charges with calm steadiness. DUI causing property damage, leaving the scene, failure to render aid, obstruction of justice. Before he can ask for a plea, her attorney rises. He speaks with polished confidence. Your Honor, my client is the wife of the British ambassador and is protected by diplomatic immunity. The court lacks jurisdiction, a statement designed to shut the case down. Judge Caprio raises one hand gently, stopping him. His voice is low but firm. The State Department already ruled that your client does not have immunity for this conduct. Unless you have a federal court order, we will proceed, but then something happens that even her attorney did not expect. Victoria stands. She does not wait to be acknowledged. She does not speak carefully. She speaks as if she is correcting someone she believes is beneath her. Your Honor, I understand perfectly. But you need to understand something. I am the wife of the British ambassador. I have diplomatic immunity. This entire proceeding is an embarrassment. The courtroom falls silent. The temperature feels like it drops 10 degrees. Judge Caprio removes his glasses slowly, the motion deliberate. Ms. Ashford, please sit down, she continues. She mentions calling the State Department. She implies that a single phone call will make all of this disappear. Judge Caprio asks her again. Are you threatening this court? She insists she is simply stating facts, but everyone can feel the shift. The room is no longer dealing with a defendant. It is dealing with someone who truly believes she is untouchable. Judge Caprio turns to the prosecutor. Where's Mr. Park? An elderly man rises. He is small, wearing simple clothing and a veteran's cap pulled gently onto thinning hair. He stands with a cane. His wife is not here because she is recovering at home, but he came anyway, not out of anger, but out of the hope that fairness still means something. Judge Caprio thanks him for his service. The courtroom murmurs with respect. Then the judge asks for the security footage. The room watches as the video unfolds. The Range Rover, the stop sign, the violent impact, the spinning of the Camry, the crash into the hydrant, the burst of water, and then Victoria walking around her car as if she were inspecting a scratch on a rental. Judge Caprio turns to her. That is you in the video, correct? She says yes, but begins to offer an excuse. There is no but, he says. His voice is quiet, but the sentence is a hammer. You hit Mr. Park's car and drove away? Her attorney claims she panicked, but the video shows otherwise. 45 seconds of looking only at her own damage, then the body camera audio plays. Her voice saying, I have diplomatic immunity. Leave immediately or I will file a formal complaint. The room shifts from shock to disbelief. 90 minutes after the accident, the judge says, you were not in shock. You were threatening an officer. Mr. Park speaks next. His voice is soft, but every word carries decades of weight. He describes the war, the frost, the wounds, the service, the long life afterward, the 40 years as a mechanic, the wife who needs therapy 3 times a week, the deductible that will take months to recover, the quiet pain of realizing that someone with every advantage chose not to treat him as a human being. Judge Caprio turns to Victoria. Do you have anything to say to him? She remains silent. Her attorney whispers that she should not speak. The judge asks again. Nothing? Not even an apology? She responds with a sentence that freezes the room. I sympathize, but this is a legal matter. I'm following legal advice. The gasp that follows is not loud, but it is deep. Even she realizes too late that she has said the wrong thing. Judge Caprio stands. His voice becomes something deeper and older, something shaped by thousands of cases and thousands of human stories. He tells her that she has forgotten what accountability means. That titles do not make a person better. That Mr. Park showed more dignity in 10 minutes than she did in 6 days. That the only shield that matters in this courtroom is truth. And then it happens. She reaches into her purse, pulls out her phone, and starts dialing. Judge Caprio asks her what she is doing. She says she is calling her husband. She says this has gone far enough. She says he needs to call the State Department and end this circus. Circus. She calls his courtroom a circus. Judge Caprio orders the bailiff to retrieve the phone. She protests. She insists she has the right to make the call. She insists she can involve her husband. The judge informs her that she has just committed contempt of court. Then he makes the decision that will change everything. You wanted the State Department involved. Mrs. Ashford, very well. Get me the Office of Foreign Missions. Minutes later, the courtroom is on speakerphone with Director Patricia Morrison of the State Department. Judge Caprio asks the question directly. Does she have diplomatic immunity for these offenses? There is a pause, a long one, the kind that feels like the entire World is inhaling at once. Then the director speaks. The Vienna Convention does not protect family members from prosecution for serious crimes unrelated to diplomatic duties. Mrs. Ashford does not have diplomatic immunity. She is subject to Rhode Island law. The room erupts. Her face drains of color. Then the director adds something no one expected. She states that misuse of diplomatic status harms international relations. She states that interfering with a legal case is unacceptable. She states that if the ambassador attempts to influence the case, the State Department will address it directly when the call ends. The silence is almost overwhelming. Judge Caprio turns to her. You heard her. You have no immunity. Do you understand? Something in her breaks. Tears fall. Mascara drips. For the first time, she looks small, frightened, human. He gives her one more chance. Do you have anything to say to Mr. Park? This time she turns to him, voice shaking, and apologizes. She apologizes for the car, for the fear, for the disrespect, for the choices she made. It is genuine. But it is late. Judge Caprio delivers the sentence, fines, restitution, mandatory apology letters, full repayment of Mr. Park's losses, a license suspension, and 90 days in jail. Her knees almost buckle, but it is not cruelty. It is responsibility.